Hello. Are you ready for another story? Tonight we're going to read, Does God Have a Big Toe? It's by a smart man named Mark Gellman, and my friend Kurt Norman first showed me this book years and years ago. Are you ready? Long ago, all the people lived in one place called Babel. Not only did every person live in the same place, but every person spoke the same language. That means that there wasn't like English and Spanish and French. There was just the one language of Babel. All of which made life very easy. Getting the news was easy, and you didn't have to learn a new language in high school. But Arena's question changed all that. Arena asked, Mommy, I have a big toe, and you have a big toe, and Daddy has a big toe. Does God have a big toe too? Now everything might have been all right if Arena's mother had just said, Arena, God is not a human person. God is special and invisible and wonderful, and God is the creator of the universe. God made us, each of us, in God's image, but God is not like a human person. So God does not have a big toe. But Arena's mother was busy with something. You know how mommies get. And so she said, Go ask your father. My mama used to tell me that all the time. So she went and asked her father, but Arena's father was also busy with something, and he told her, Go ask your grandpa. So she did. Grandpa was in his garden, digging up weeds with his pal Fred. Fred worked in the king's palace. Arena asked, Grandpa, I have a big toe, and Mommy has a big toe, and Daddy has a big toe, and you have a big toe, and Fred has a big toe. Does God have a big toe too? Now, Arena's grandpa was old, and he was hard of hearing, and so he said, Does God have a big hoe? Well, I don't know if God has a big hoe. I suppose if God has a garden, then God must have a hoe. After all, you can't get rid of weeds without a hoe. But Fred whispered to Arena that he would ask the king the next day when he went to work. The king thought, and then issued a proclamation. You, the people of Babel, will build a tower up to the sky, so that I, your king, can stand on top of this tower and look at God's foot. Then I will tell you if God has a big toe. He must have thought he was really important, huh? The king ordered the builders to use only the best bricks and the best tar to stick them together with. The Tower of Babel grew higher and higher every day. Now God knew that if everybody was working on the tower, then nobody would work in the fields to grow things. Nobody would work in the shops to make things. And God knew that soon all the bricks and tar in Babel would be all used up, and the people of Babel would have nothing left to build houses with. God thought about just knocking down the tower, but God knew for sure that the Babylonians would just build it up again to see if God had a big toe. There was only one thing to do. The next day, when Arena came to watch the work on the tower, she heard Fred ask his friend for a brick. And his friend answered, Ma'ata rota? And he turned to another guy with tar who said, Arigato? And he asked a guy with a shovel who said, Como está? And he looked at a fellow with a wheelbarrow who said, Gesundheit. Soon bricks and tar were flying everywhere because people didn't understand each other. And by the end of the day, people who spoke the same language were heading out of town together. Arena and her family decided to leave town too, with Fred, Grandpa, and a few other people they could still understand. They packed up everything they owned and left Babel. On the cart, Arena was quiet for a while and then asked, Mommy, I have a belly button, and you have a belly button, and Daddy has a belly button. Does God have a belly button too? You know, it's okay to wonder about God, But God is so wonderful and so mysterious and so beyond our understanding that it's really hard for us to know that much about God, and it's really not our place to try to ask questions about God. One of the problems with the Tower of Babel is that people were sort of trying to take God's place. They wanted to build up something so they could look as important as God, and that's just not going to happen. The good news is that God sent to us Jesus Christ, God's Son, so that we could know more about God. And Jesus has a big toe, and Jesus has a belly button, so that we quit wondering silly things about God and know what Jesus wanted us to know, that the nature of God is love. And even when bad things seem to be happening, like suddenly people can't understand each other and have to leave town, sometimes those bad things are not really bad. Sometimes it's just because we don't understand why God is doing something, but God is doing something that's very, very good. Do you know why Jesus came to show us the nature of God? Sure, you know, because God loves us this much. So God bless you. God bless you that you remember always that you are the beloved child He created you to be. And good night.